In essence, what we're here to say is these plants are unsafe. They were misdesigned. We can't trust Edison because they've already proven that they're not trustworthy in this design. They haven't brought any outside assistance to review it. They're opposed to an open process, an open meeting to review all this. And so now's the time to just say, let's cut our losses, decommission the plant, which we've been paying for on our bills ever since this thing was put in, and move on to renewable energy. That's what our agenda is here today. Okay. Now I'd like to have a few other people that would like to say a few words, maybe about what they're planning to say on the inside. I'd like to first introduce Tony Eisman, who's from Laguna Beach City Council member, correct? Come on up, Tony. Thank you.
The CPUC has an opportunity today to keep Southern California Edison from putting on our utility bills the mistakes they've been making. If in fact we don't have to pick up those errors, hopefully the stockholders for Edison will pay attention. This is a problem that ultimately will come to a conclusion, and that conclusion is that plant is either going to close or we're going to have a disaster. Today in the news, a peanut company in Georgia got in a lot of trouble because they knew that there was salmonella testing and it came out positive, and they went ahead and lied and said, no, it's okay. 700 people in the country came down with salmonella, and the owner of the plant may be getting 40 years in prison. Now, how much time should Edison spend in prison if we find out that they knew, and I think we know they knew, what was going on, and they don't do anything?
Yeah, prosecute.
Prison time.
And that's the trouble with these utilities. A lot of times the whole company should be in prison, the amount of time that they lie and cheat and rip off the public. I'm wondering if Torgan Johnson, would you like to say a few words up here? We are very fortunate to have an urban planner, Harvard educated, with, I don't know, many degrees, so I probably couldn't go on and on about how heavily legitimate he is about his comments. But come on up here and have some comments for us.
Thank you. I think the CPUC needs to do its job now. It's clear that ratepayers are going to be paying for a third set of generators because the replacement set of generators that was replacing a previously failed set of generators has gone bad. When we look at over $1 billion per set of steam generators, we realize that we're trying to prop up a failing technology. I just want to say that if the CPUC doesn't understand what $1 billion is, when my children at school, the parents get together and we raise money to buy crayons and pencils and paper, sometimes books, and it takes a whole classroom of parents to pull that money together. When I see what we're paying for a facility, $54 million a month for a facility that produces no power, clearly the CPUC needs to step in now and protect the ratepayers. We're chained to this company. It's a regulated monopoly. We have no choice. I think it's time for the CPUC to protect the ratepayers and not the interest of Edison. Thank you.
Thanks, Torgan. I just want to bring up one detail that I discovered in my conversations with the NRC. They feel like this situation that happened down here was a success. And I'll tell you why, even though we think it's all a disaster. They feel like they correctly stopped the plant from having a big major leak and a meltdown. In other words, their safety systems worked. And the steam generators were roughly equivalent because the failure modes were about the same, and therefore they were able to catch it. So they say, we're not responsible for design review or making sure that the steam generators work. We're just responsible for making sure we can recover from some sort of a disaster. Well, who's responsible for making sure that they work? Well, Edison. And if they don't do it, we should not have to pay for it. And the CPUC is the oversight group that's in charge of making sure that we don't pay for it if they don't do a good job. Do they put a citizen oversight group in place like they do at high schools when they expand the gym? No. They just say, spend the money and come back and tell us if you did a good job at the end. They haven't even come back to tell them if they've done a good job yet. So all of that oversight is missing. The CPUC has been asleep at the wheel. And hopefully we can wake them up. That's why we as the public need to be here and shake the living hell out of this group and say, do your job.
Yes, 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 yes.
I'd like to introduce Gary Kendrick from San Clemente Green, doing an excellent job of bringing the community together and helping us fight this disaster. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. Well, as representative of many people that are concerned about what's happening in our own backyard, I'm feeling the weight of trying to represent all of our interests, and there's so many concerns that we have about what we see that doesn't make sense. And hopefully today in the meeting with the CPUC we'll get some answers, but the endless delays that the ratepayers have to endure while CPUC makes decisions and apparently intentionally drags out this process needs to be answered. And I hope today we'll hear that. There's not accusations to be made, but questions about who's running this CPUC and what's their background. I know the president of PUC has a long history as executive director in Edison. I think as vice president for several years. We have to know they're on our side, and I think those are fair questions, and we want to get our money back, and we don't want to keep paying any more, and we want to know we're getting fair representation. So we're here in numbers, and we expect answers. Thank you.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you, Gary. You're doing a great job. One other major player in the activist group opposing this restart of this disaster plan is Gene Stone. Come on up and say what you like, Gene.
Not one more penny to California Edison, and the PUC needs to listen to that. Their job is to protect the citizens and the ratepayers from being gouged for so many things that we've have gone ahead. The important thing to know is that it's always something. So today, at a public meeting, we come here to this nice facility and try to set up a table, because California Edison has a table set up next to the PUC table, passing out their information. So we thought, well, we should have the right to set up a table as well. But they stopped us from setting up a table and passing out information, citing the building owner, citing to us that California Edison rented the building for this public meeting for the PUC today. Now that is a perfect example of the collusion that goes on between California Edison and the PUC. How can we, the public, get anything done when California Edison is renting the building for the PUC, who is well funded?
With our money.
With our money.
With our money.
Exactly. And we, the public, can't set up a table to pass out our home printer information when they've got slick $10,000 brochures printed up. This is what we're fighting. Corruption at the basic level of, and the lack of trust in our Public Utility Commission and California Edison. Thank you.
Bravo, Gene. Well said. Yes.
I did argue with the police in there, and they did relent, because we do have a right to have a table in there. Now, we're getting really close on time, so I apologize to the rest of the speakers that we're going to be able to, that we're thinking that we could fit you in. So we're not going to be able to fit everybody in. Make sure if you go in there that you get on the list now. Everybody that wants to speak inside.
You gotta sign up.
And if we get a chance, we may have a chance to do a cheer in there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No restart, shut it down. Repeat.
No restart, shut it down. No restart, shut it down. No restart, shut it down.